What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and welcome to episode 106, my folks. And, I've often said that October is the very best sporting month of the year. I mean, just think about it. In October, the NBA is just tipping off, and let me say right here, my LA Lakers out the gate, undefeated, and, well, it does appear coaching makes a difference, doesn't it? And I didn't know what to expect from our first-time head coach, but so far, so good. The results speak for themselves, and so I'll be addressing the Lakers in upcoming episodes, but October also contains the Fall Classic, the World Series, and well, wouldn't you know, the LA Dodgers playing them damn Yankees in the World Series. And as of this recording, the Dodgers are up 3-0. And let me just say here and now, I love a parade, and I will be happy to see a championship parade here in LA as the Dodgers take care of them damn Yankees and come home with another title. And trivia question, after the Yankees, which MLB franchise holds the most World Series championships? Ding, 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 ding. No, it's not the Dodgers. It ain't the Giants. It is the St. Louis Cardinals. Trivia question. After the New York Yankees, the St. Louis Cardinals have the second most World Series championships in baseball history. But the Dodgers are coming on strong. And with their manager over these last 8 years or so, they are constantly knocking on the World Series door, constantly looking to bring home another title. And I want to say right here and now, as an aside, I've spoken quite often, at length, in fact, about the halo effect, the deity complex. You see, if you are the beneficiary of the halo effect, why, I hope you've been watching previous episodes. You know that the coach of the LA Rams, Coach McGenius, is just such a beneficiary. He is a beneficiary of the halo effect. He gets all of the credit when things go well. And when they don't, when they go poorly, he gets none of the blame. What an enviable position to obtain. But I've come to realize, my folks, there's also a reverse halo effect. A reverse halo effect. And in that scenario, the poor fellow, why, when things go well, he'd get none of the credit. And when things go poorly, he'd get all of the blame. And so I have to say here and now that the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Dave Roberts, unfortunately for him, suffers from the reverse halo effect. I hear them year in and year out on the radio, podcasting and so forth, calling for his head, calling for his firing, the manager of the Dodgers. And I find it remarkable. I find it incredulous that a man with such an accomplished resume right now on the verge of another World Series championship. In fact, by the time this goes to air, the parade might already be in the works. Dave Roberts has managed the Dodgers since 2016. And do you know that every damn year he's made the playoffs? Every year since 2016, Dave Roberts and his squads have made the postseason. But that's not good enough for the people, you see? Did you know that since Dave Roberts has been manager of the Dodgers, he's had five 100-win seasons? Huh? How about that? 5 of them. Do you know that his squads, Dave Roberts, have made the World Series 4 times? 8 years he's been manager, 4 times in the World Series. Now, he's won 1. And I understand that bothers people. They want to see him win it all. I get it. But look at this man's resume. 1 World Series championship, now another one on tap. 8 seasons, 2 titles, 5 100-win seasons, never missed the playoffs, and you want to fire him? Shame on you. And so my message, before I get to my main points of the evening, my message is leave Dave Roberts the hell alone. Leave him alone. He is a high caliber manager. He seems to be a top shelf individual, and his resume is stellar. It's spectacular. Leave Dave Roberts alone. And yet, when it comes to the head coach of the LA Rams, Coach McGenius, well, we know he hasn't made the playoffs in each of his years of being the head coach in LA. We know this because in the Super Bowl defense season, he went 5-12. Okay? And he missed another season, and he started off this season 1-4. And so, yes, he has a championship, but he also lost a Super Bowl, and so his resume is nowhere close to as impressive as Mr. Dave Roberts. And yet, Coach McGenius is the beneficiary of the halo effect. All of the credit when things go well, he's a genius. Look at him. None of the blame when things go poorly. And it's the exact opposite for Dave Roberts. I wonder why. Mysteries of the universe, I guess. And so, back to regularly scheduled programming, my folks, because in addition to the college football season, and in addition to the NBA and the World Series, October also shows us what's really going on in the NFL. And today's episode 106 does in fact focus on the NFL. And so I have to tell you up front now, much like the Rams, I too am playing through injury. Okay, I'm a little banged up. I gotta tell you. And so, I've strapped on my brace. I've got my brace, and I've got my electrolytes, and I intend to deliver like the Rams. I intend to show resolve. I intend to show spirit and fight through my infirmaries and bring you another spectacular episode. Although I will say, episodes 103, 104, and 105, they were epics. I mean, hour plus running time. And so it is my aspiration with today's episode to keep it down the running time and to get you and myself in and out with dispatch. Although I'm not off to a great start because already I've waxed poetic about many things that have nothing to do with the topic at hand. And so let me know in the comments if you if you think that I did in fact reach my goal of bringing you this episode with alacrity. Because we've got a lot to get to, my folks. You see, the Rams have won consecutive ball games. In 5 days, they won back-to-back ball games. And so, from 1-4 and on the doorstep of the Grim Reaper, now at 3-4 and in a down year for the division, the Rams are right there, right in the mix. And so, we've got a lot to get to. And so, I don't want to take any more time. And let's just get right to it. Now, I'm going to give you this episode a little differently than how I normally would because, as I say, it's a double episode. We've got a lot to cover. And I want to start with where we left off last episode. The Rams at 1-4 on life support. And I'll tell you what, it's a good thing it was the Raiders coming to town because they are a motley crew. The Raiders are a mess, and they've been a mess. It's amazing to me how so many people are so enamored with the Raiders, and yet the Raiders stink, and they've been stanky for a long time. And so I see no signs whatsoever that the Raiders are about to improve anytime soon. And so the Raiders were just what the doctor ordered for the Rams to try and heal up and get well. And they did. Now, let's talk about the Raider game. Well, in the first place, it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing game to watch. I mean, in fact, I have game balls, as you know. Every victory, I must give out 3 game balls, and I have game balls to give, but all of the game balls from the Raider game, each and every one of the 3, go to a defensive player. And that's a first in the career of Scotty Says, but it is well warranted because it was the defense that really showed up and showed out. It was the defense that turned the game around. It was the defense that scored, taking the ball away and converting points. And so I have good news and bad news from the Raider game. And of course, the best good news is that we got the dub. You know, it's a 0-sum game. L's and dubs, dubs and L's. Which one did you get? And the Rams got that dub against the Raiders. And so that in and of itself is good news. But then the other part of the news, the good news, is that the defense is starting to come into shape. You can see they're gelling. They are coalescing into a unit that can affect the game, can change the game, can maintain leads, can score. And so that's great news. Now, the bad news, of course, was that the offense was putrid. Something wrong. Stanky. And I have to, unfortunately, report that there was a McBlunder spotlight sequence of the weekend, the Raider game. And so we'll get to it. But on balance now, getting that dub, you cover up a lot of stain when you win. So let's get right to game analysis, the Raiders and the Rams. And so, first of all, Soup still inactive for the Raider game. Puka still inactive for the Raider game. And there were additional issues. That offensive line, and I talked about that for several episodes, how we'd put 3 or so consecutive offensive line starting units out there who had played through the game entirely. And so here, the Raider game, you see a little bit of that O-line shuffle because Logan Bruce injured. And so on the O-line now, you have, well, at left tackle, Alaric Jackson. He's sturdy like a rock. But at left guard, now replacing Mr. Bruce, Justin Dedick. I'm not certain on the pronunciation. Dedick. That must have been a tough name growing up. Can you imagine the first day of school and you're in, you're third grade or whatever, and you're lined up or you're seated alphabetically, and they get to the D's, and the teacher says, Justin Dedick. If it's Justin Dedick, raise your hand, and all the kids. Dedick's over there, and he's like, it's D-Dick. Dedick. Say it quickly, Dedick. I digress. Justin Dedick is a rookie, and he is replacing Logan Bruce, and he is your left guard. And then at center, Bo Limmer is still hanging in there. He had a couple of little fits and spells. But on the right side of the line, I feel very comfortable with Kevin Dotson at right guard. He doesn't miss games. He's solid. He grades out well every game. He's just reliable. And the staple, the longest tenured Ram, right tackle, Rob Havenstein. And so, Colby Parkinson is your tight end. Of course, you've got Maddie from the D, Doctor Who at quarterback, and Kyron Williams is your tailback. And your wide receiver trio to start in 11 personnel this week with the absence of your frontline receivers is the Demarcus Robinson. I'll call him TDR. And TDR is starting to come along. Also, Tyler Johnson and And so on the Rams' first drive of that Raider game, well, I was a little uneasy because McWonder starts out with 4 plays, 4 passes. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go. And if this is going to be your recipe against the Raiders, you might mess around and lose this game. To my consternation, the game progressed this way. Now, of course, there was not a lot of scoring to be had from the offense, but 11 plays, offensive snaps into the game. McGenius has thrown the ball 8 times, 8 passes out of 11. Starting out of balance, and I feel a little dread. 11 plays, 8 passes for the Rams offense. And you know what I'm thinking, McWonder. You gotta establish the run game. You gotta get yourself in balance. You gotta come out of the book. And it's as if my telepathic messages got through, or maybe my screams at the television set were heard somehow. But here is where I started to see a change. And so, to start the second quarter, there's no score, but the Raiders, they're in field goal range, and they settle for 3, and so they're up 3-0, and the Rams get the ball back. It's their 3rd possession of the ball game. They started off with a pass for 2-2, but then McGenius starts to, in fact, establish the ground game. He gives deuces in the game. Now, Blake Corum, he gives him a tote for 5, and then another tote for 1. And now I'm thinking, okay, it's 3rd down, 3rd and 4. And Matty is in the gun with protection. And he hands the ball off on 3rd and 4. You see how he's out of the book of McWonder? He hands the ball off to his tailback now, K. Will in the backfield, and he carries for 3 more. And so it's 4th and 1, 4th and inches. And I'll say here now, I agree with the coach's decision to go for it here. I agree with going for it on 4th and inches, but the thing is, what will be the play call? And in fact, the play call was a handoff. It was a handoff to K. Will, who gets stuffed. He did not convert. It's a turnover on downs, but I don't judge the outcome so much as the process. McWonder did the right thing here. He went for it on 4th and inches, and he went for it with a strong run play. Strong foundational principles, and he got stuffed. That's okay. Turnover on downs. But you're setting the tone. You're letting them know. You're giving them something to think about, that you're not going to play out of the book of McWonder all day long. And so the Raiders, they get the ball back, but very quickly. They're punting it back away. And now you see the Rams defense is starting to come together too. And so let's talk about that defense now. Rams trailing the Raiders 3-0. And, well, the defense has knocked the Raiders starting quarterback, McConnell, out of the game. Curl coming through with pressure on the blitz and hits that digit and breaks his finger. And McConnell is out. And, well, you know who's coming in as backup QB, don't you? It's the gardener. Gardner Minshew. The gardener coming in to till some unfertile soil. And so, it was just going to be a matter of time with that Rams defensive pressure and the gardener in there plucking thorns before you know who he was going to have to come into contact with. You know who was lurking and waiting to meet him, don't you? Gardener, meet the poltergeist. Poltergeist strike. Poltergeist strike. And the gardener is picked. And the Rams and that defense turned the ball over. Kobe Durant said, let me introduce you to Mr. Polty. And, well, the Rams get the ball back, and McGenius rightly comes out running. And it's K. Will for 9, and then it's K. Will again for a couple of more. First down, you see? And then first down, play action. And the Raiders, they're hungry. They're biting now. They're biting because you're establishing that run. Complete. 21 big yards. Kobe Parkinson, CP. Down to the Vegas 16. And now we are in the red zone. Red zone test. Red zone alert. You know this has been the crucible for McGenius. That red zone play calling sequence. What will he do here? What will McWonder do here? Now, we've talked about it extensively, 3 episodes ago in examining the book of McWonder. And then 2 episodes ago in the case against McWonder. Will he come out of the book? Will he stay out of the book? And I'm so pleased to announce that he did. He hands the ball off to his top shelf running back, K. Will. And K. Will breaks 3 tackles. 3 tackles on his way to the end zone. Pay dirt, touchdown Rams, touchdown LA. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, coach. This is how you do it, McG. And, well, 7-3 LA now with the 3 minutes or so left before the half, and the gardener is getting uprooted. You see what I did there? The gardener is getting clipped. You see what I did there? And now Kobe Durant again coming with the pressure on the gardener. And, well, he impacts him. And the ball is out, coughed up, and who is it? It's Curl. Cam Curl with the scoop. Cam Curl with the score. Touchdown Rams. Touchdown LA. And that's a defensive touchdown. And now you're starting to see scoring from the defensive side of the ball. And it's a good thing because the offense wasn't really clicking in this game. And so it's 14-3 Rams now. And let me just say Cam Curl is making his presence felt on the defensive side of the ball. Remember, he made a big impact in that Green Bay game. And then here now, he's scooped and scored, and Kobe Durant, the conductor, making his presence felt. And so big ups to the defense. And as we go to halftime, I'm thinking if McWonder is smart, he will stay on the ground, pound the ball, eat clock, and get the hell out of here with a dub. Okay? Let that defense eat. Let them till the garden. Okay? Well, unfortunately, it didn't go exactly as I would have hoped in the second half. Let's look at it. And the Raiders, they managed to put up 3 before halftime. So it's now 14-6 to start the third quarter. And the Rams get the ball. And you know what I'm thinking? But no, McWonder, he comes out throwing incomplete. Okay, second down, end around. It is a run play. And on the run play, and that's a pickup of 6, it's 3rd and 4. Matty in the shotgun. Incomplete. So, right out the gate, to start the third quarter, you're up 14-6. You got the ball. You have a chance to assert yourself on the ground, eat up some clock, let your offensive line gel by firing off the ball. And instead, no, 2 out of 3 plays are passes, both incomplete. It's a 3 and out. The clock has barely moved and the Raiders get the ball back. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's not disciplined. It's not fundamentally sound. And I know he's new wave, next gen. I get it, but this is the kind of stuff that costs you against quality teams. The Raiders are not, though. And they immediately go 3 and out and the Rams get the ball back. Now let's fast forward. But let's fast forward now. Fallow fields for the errant Gardner. And it is D.B. McCullough. Now remember, he got him one against Green Bay. D.B. McCullough gets him another one against Minshew. And it is an introduction, a reintroduction to the poltergeist strike. And the Rams take over in excellent field position. And then after a Raiders penalty, and they are known from historical times, the Raiders are known for being a highly penalized team. Once again, another Raiders penalty moves the Rams along, and the next thing you know, 1st and 10 from the Raiders 26, and the next play, inside handoff, it's this jet sweep to the X-Man again, and he carries 22 big yards, X all the way down to the Raider 3, first and goal at the 3. And I'm thinking, McGenius, don't you dare McBlunder this. And he doesn't. He hands the ball off to K. Will, and K. Will into the end zone. Touchdown Rams, and now we're rolling. But now Cardi has not been hardy lately, and he misses another point after try. But at this point, the Rams are up 20-6. And the game is fairly well in hand, right? 20-6 Rams, and Vegas, they go on a time-consuming drive. They eat up a lot of clock, and they're running the ball. They're doing what the Rams ought to be doing, but they're trailing. And they managed to get 3 points out of it, so it's 20-9, and the Rams get the ball back. And I'm like, think, man, be smart, fundamental, sound, And, well, okay. Unfortunately, though, I have to highlight this sequence. So the Rams, they get the ball back. They're up 20-9, and first play is a handoff. K. Will looking good. 9 big yards. 2nd and 1. And Matty's under center. And it's a screen. It's a reverse screen pass to Tutu. And the play fake fools them. It fools them. And it's a first down. First down, LA. They're at their own 47. Now, Matty again under center. Play action. It's a tight end screen. Okay, it's incomplete. It's for long. And as I've told you, their screen game is raggedy. And so it's 2nd and 10, and Maddie's in the pistol. But now you see the condition is starting to rear its head. 2nd and 10 from the pistol, and he's throwing again. This time it's a quick one. It's for two, but no, it's tipped, it's up. It's a poltergeist strike. A poltergeist strike. No, man, no. Come on, man. Say it ain't so, McWonder. See how your pass game is letting the opposition back in the game when all you have to do is run the ball? But no, it's a turnover. It's a pick. And I saw it coming because he won't do the fundamentally sound things. And so they return that strike all the way down to the Rams' 14-yard line. And just like that, you've given the Raiders some life when you could have been closing them out. 3 straight passes, up 11. 3 straight passes until calamity strikes in the form of the poltergeist. Do you see it yet? I'm thinking this is so utterly unnecessary. You have exposed your quarterback to the Palace poltergeist for no good reason. The Raiders stink. Finish them off. No, why are you giving them life? And so this is why I say, Coach McWonder, he might backslide at any given moment. The Motown backslide. He does the dance all the time. And so here you are now, giving a bad team life when you should be extinguishing their hope. And so then to compound upon that, you're burning timeouts for no reason. He's challenging. It's like he panics and he's challenging. Someone should tell him, no, McWonder, don't waste your time out and challenge like that over something you're going to lose. Quit burning timeouts so frivolously. But the Raiders, as I say, they're inept, and they only managed to put 3 points up off the turnover, and it's 2012. But now it's a 1-score game. And so, my folks, for eschewing the run with a lead late in the game, for failing to run the ball and eat up clock, for 3 straight passes leading to a poltergeist strike, for providing points to the opponent when they were down and damn near out, for not allowing your defense to eat. For all these reasons, I am compelled to report that this sequence has been your McBlunder Spotlight of the week. But as I say, the Raiders are a bad team. And so, with time ticking out of regulation, the Raiders have found their way to a 1st and goal. 1st and goal, Raiders from the LA 4-yard line. And what do the Raiders do? They pull a McWonder. Pass. The penalty is on the 3rd pass, and then they pass again. Wow. 1st and goal from the 4, pass, penalty, pass again, and they have to settle for 3. And the Rams escape from that scenario with a 2015 lead. With no time really left in the game, it's desperation time, and the gardener is tilling rancid soil. And, well, McCullough once again introduces the gardener to the poltergeist. Poltergeist strike to win the game. And the Rams win. That's how the final score will be recorded. 2015 Rams. And so, despite some concerning moments, They come away with the dub and move to 2-4. And so now game balls, well, as I say, game balls all going to the D. Game ball, Cam Curl, game ball, sir. 7 tackles, tied for the most on the Rams defense on the day, and affecting the game again in numerous ways, plus a scoop and score. Game ball to Kobe Durant, the conductor, making beautiful music. 2 tackles, 1 sack, and a poltergeist strike. And then game ball to Jay McCullough, once again impacting the game in a big way, introducing the opponent to the Palace Poltergeist. McCullough, 2 interceptions on the day, plus a tackle, and again impacting the game with scoring from the defense. 3 defensive game balls, and I want to give an honorable mention on defense to Quentin Lake. He was, in fact, tied with Curl for the lead in tackles on the day, 7 tackles, plus he had 2 assists, and Quentin Lake, I do believe, is your leading tackler on the defense on the season. Game balls all around to the defense. And so, let's quickly look at the numbers, shall we? And so, if you dig deep into the numbers, why, the Raiders, they had more total yards than the Rams. They had more passing yards, more rushing yards. They had more first downs. They were better on 4th down. They had 75 total plays. The Rams only had 52. And, well, they had the greater time of possession, but what doomed the Raiders, as you, of course, by now know, all them turnovers. 3 poltergeist strikes and a fumble coughed up. 4 turnovers. The Rams only had 1 turnover, that 1 poltergeist strike by the doctor. So, 4 turnovers and you're a bad team? Most likely you're going to come away with that L on your head. And they did. And also the Raiders had 10 penalties. They're undisciplined. And that's been the case for the longest time. Now, I guess people are just infatuated with that fella with the eye patch. They just like the emblem, I guess, because the team is garbage. But I pointed out to you last week now that Andy Reid, the fat man, Big Red, he really is on a different level than our coach McWonder. And I have to say, you know who else suffers from the reverse halo effect? You know who else is on another level from McWonder but does not get that credit and those accolades? The head coach of the Steelers, Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, this same week that Coach McWonder got his 79th victory as head coach, Mike Tomlin got his 178th. 178. So just about 100 more. But you never hear them talk about Mike Tomlin as a genius, do you? You never hear them say, oh, Mike Tomlin, Mike Tomlin, like Dave Roberts, suffers from the reverse halo effect. He gets all of the blame when the Steelers don't do well. And keep in mind, when the Steelers don't do well, they're still above 500 because Mike Tomlin in 18 seasons has never had a losing record. Huh? Isn't that extraordinary? Never under 500 in 18 seasons? We know McGenius has been under 500 and he's only had 7. So, I just think we need to keep it in proper perspective how Mike Tomlin doesn't get credit, but they give him a lot of grief in the media and the fans and others. Yeah, I heard people talking about maybe it's time that he should be replaced. And you make the playoffs like that last year he made the playoffs with substandard quarterback play, Mason the Red-Nosed Rudolph. Listen, right now, he's on top of his division over Baltimore, and he's got Russ, and he's got Fields. He deserves to be exalted among coaches. I'd take him over McWonder, no disrespect. But I just want to point out how some coaches get the benefit of the deity complex. They get all the credit, none of the blame. And then other coaches who are deserving to be exalted get all the blame, none of the credit. I wonder why that is. All right, now, as you know, I've been touting for the longest time I believe my winning formula, the 25-30 principle. And every week I come to you and every week it holds true. Do you believe me yet? Well, it held true once again, huh? Let's look at the numbers. All right, the Rams. Matthew Stafford, Doctor Who, Matty from the D, 14 of 23. Stop the presses. 14 of 23, 23 passes. He only had 154 yards, but hell, 23 passes and 1 sack. That's a grand total of 24 passes. You know the 25-30 principle requires you to cap your quarterback throws at 30. They had a total of 24. Check. Mr. McGenius meets the metric. But you've got to get the second piece of it. Rushing. Kyron Williams, 21 carries, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Okay, Xavier Smith, the X-Man, he got a couple of carries, 30 yards, 15 a pop on average. That's 23. Blake Corum, deuces. He had 3 carries for 11. That is a grand total of 26 runs. What? 26 runs. What does the 25-30 principle mandate? What does it require? What does it stipulate? You must have a minimum of 25 design runs, 25 run plays. The Rams had 26 on the day against the Raiders. You must cap your quarterback to 30. They had 24. Check and check. Mr. McWonder meets the metrics of the 25-30 principle, and he gets the dub, as I guaranteed him he would. Yeah. Now let's look quickly at the Raiders. Well, Aiden O'Connell started the game. He was 6 of 10, but then he had that digit curled by curl. So Gardner Minshew, the gardener, came in and he was 15 of 34. 15 of 34 for the gardener. That's a grand total of 44 passes by the Raiders. 44 plus 2 sacks. That's 46 dropbacks. And you're gonna lose. Mr. McWonder meets the metrics of the 25-30 principle, and you got 46 dropbacks. You can wrap it up. It's over. They did have 28 run plays, but hey, you know the principle is extremely particular. You've got to meet both metrics. And so, let's move on to the next game, because right on the heels of the Raider victory, why, just a few days later, the Rams are playing Thursday night football at the Palace in Inglewood, and they are hosting the Minnesota Vikings, right? Kevin O'Connell, a McWonder acolyte, is head coach of the Vikes. And the Vikes started out 5-0, and then they suffered that defeat to drop to 5-1, and now they come to town looking to rebound. And the Rams now, with a dub against the Raiders at 2-4, needing a dub better than a hog needs his slop. And so, let's set it up and knock 'em down. The stage is set. It's Thursday night football, and I'll tell you, I was nursing injuries by this time in the week, but I heard in the morning, Thursday morning, the morning of the game, a little birdie came to me and said, "Puka's coming back." And I said, "What?" Because I already heard Soup was planning to return, but then the little birdie said, "Puka's coming back." What? And I felt a glimmer of hope. And I actually said to someone, just randomly, for no real reason, the Rams gonna upset the Vikes today. And I have to say here and now, it's good to have Soup back. And they, a lot of those trade rumors and speculations with Soup, I mean, I get it. He's an older guy. He's extremely injury prone. He's hurt a lot. He's slowing down a little bit. I mean, he's an exceptional player when he's there and when he's right. But I get it if you can get something for him, especially if your season is circling down the bowl, going down the tube. I get it. But now, with a victory to get to 2-4, you find a way to deal with Minnesota. It changes everything, doesn't it? And I see why the Rams would consider moving Soup. I mean, Puka is your number one wide receiver now. That is official. That's no longer a question. Puka is your number one. And with the Puka Soup, with Puka and then Soup and TDR, well, you've got, as I've said for the longest time, you've got a great wide receiver trio, and then you've got Tyler Johnson, and you've got Tutu, and, Jordan Whittington's still hurt a little bit, but reinforcements are starting to come back now. And I tell you what, Puka was a sight for sore eyes. He plays with such zeal and energy, zest for the game, and, he's young. And so he makes a huge difference for the Rams. But again, I just have to point out that if you're really a next level coach, like an Andy Reid or like a Mike Tomlin, you win with whoever you've got. You don't lose ball games because one guy's hurt or two guys are hurt. You keep finding ways to stay above water. But I digress. Let's get to the starting lineup for the game against Minnesota. Well, you've got the same O-line intact. Alaric Jackson is your left tackle. And Jay Dedick is your left guard. And you still got Bo Limmer at center. Kay Dotson is your right guard, and Mr. Havenstein is your right tackle. And Kobe Parkinson is your tight end. You've got Kyron Williams is your tailback, and Doctor Who, Matty from the D, is your quarterback. And then your wide receiver, Brew. Your wide receiver, Stu, the Puka Soup, the Demarcus Robinson, Puka Nakua, and Super Cooper Cup. The trio, the band, back together again. And it does make a difference. You know why, my folks? Because Puka blocks. Okay? Soup blocks. And that is a big deal. That's why McWonder can run 11 personnel so much, because those wide receivers block. It's different when it's Tutu and Tyler Johnson and Whittington. They are not capable blockers to the level and extent of Puka and Soup. And so the game was, I felt the crackle of electricity, energy, watching this game, and it seemed to permeate the building, the palace in Inglewood. And, well, right away, Minnesota takes the ball, drives, and puts up 7. Boom! First punch landed. And then the Rams, they get the ball back, and they come right back, and they put up 7. Punch and counter punch, right? And then Minnesota gets the ball right back, and then they go down and punch in another one. Woo! Haymakers. Woo, 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 woo. And then the Rams, they get the ball back, and they answer right back. What? It's a massive brawl at the Palace, and it's 14-14 right out the box. So just to quickly go through it, K. Will receives the first touchdown of the game from Matty, and on the Rams' second touchdown. It was a spectacular play. I've got to highlight it. The Rams had a 2nd and goal at the 7. And this play here by Dr. Who for Houdini. Dr. Houdini. This play, okay, Matty, he evades the rush, the first rusher. He evades him with a sidestep. And then the second rusher, he ducks under him, comes out of the other side, and the guy was like swiping at air, and then Matty high steps toward the line of scrimmage like he's about to run to the end zone, but no, he fires a dart to who? Dun-dun-dun, Soup, touchdown Rams, touchdown LA, and I'm just really beside myself watching this game. Then, at that point, 14-14, why? The Rams defense starts to clamp down, and, well, Minnesota would not score another touchdown the rest of the way, only a couple of field goals. Meanwhile, the Rams would put up a touchdown in each quarter, giving them 28 for the game, plus that safety at the end. We'll talk about it. All right, now, let's move to the fourth quarter of the Minnesota game, and I want to give Coach McGenius his credit here. Now, there's 9 minutes, 20 seconds left in regulation, and the score is 21-20. It's still anybody's game. The Rams have the ball, but they find themselves facing 4th and inches. It's 4th and inches, but they're well within field goal range. You kick the field goal here, well, 24-20. Now they need a touchdown to beat you, right? But McWonder aggressively, correctly opts to eschew the field goal and instead to go for it on 4th and inches, which could have been a massive game-changing turnaround moment if this backfires. He decides to go for it on 4th and inches, and again, I applaud the call, but this is incumbent upon the play call itself. And what does Mr. McWonder do? Is he trying some empty gun nonsense out of the book of McWonder on 4th down? No! He hands the ball to his world-class tailback at K. Will, converts it, 1st down. So now the drive continues. The clock keeps churning. And he made the correct call to go for it on 4th and inches, and he made the correct play call to hand the ball to his tailback. And now, in the end, they pay that drive off. And it's TDR in the end zone, touchdown. And on the play, Puka and Soup are getting all this attention from the defense, leaving the DeMarcus Robinson free to work one-on-one, ring it up, touchdown LA. And now, instead of 24-20, it's 28-20. And give the coach credit here. He made the right decision in both going for it and in the play call itself. And they pay it off. And so it was a 10-play drive. 6 of the 10 plays were on the ground. 6.5 minutes off the clock. 70 yards power football, fundamental principles, and that fourth down conversion. And this is what I've been calling for, my folks. This is what I've been agitating for. And this, I am happy to report, is your McGenius Spotlight Sequence of the Week. Yeah, man. And the Rams are dominating the Vikings on both sides of the ball. And Jared Verse, I hear they call him V8. I like that. He's juicing folks. V8 is juicing folks, and Cam is curling folks, and Zero Byron Young is out there flying around, and then Puka makes such a big difference. And it's good to see Soup back, and K. Will is toting the ball with a vengeance. And I like when McWonder stays out the book. And when all of these factors are at play, the Rams are a formidable opponent. V8 and Hoyt getting some. And then, as if McWonder is starting to get it, gets the ball back, and he's running the ball. Running. 3rd and 9, though, and Matty in the gun. And what do we do here? Well, who is it? Soup! Soup again to the rescue. Soup again from their own 20. Soup on 39, first down, 28 big yards. And the Rams can wrap this thing up. But wait, that should have been the nail in the coffin, my folks, but McWonder still got a little bit of silly in him. And well, all you need to do here, coach, is run the ball, give it to your tailback, eat that clock up, get the hell out of there. That's all you got to do. But McWonder decides on 3rd down that he wants to be clever and do a little quick pass to Puka along the sideline, a little quick shorty, which is like a run play if all goes according to plan. But it didn't, because Puka gets tackled, pushed out of bounds, and that stops the clock. They were out of timeouts. That stops the clock. Under the 2-minute warning, McG. Just hand off the ball. No, he throws. Puka steps out. The clock stops. Short of the sticks. Rams have to punt. And let me say again, Ethan Evans, the punter, he's just been balling out of his mind. And so he coffin corners one. He pins Minnesota way back at about their own 3-yard line. So they got to go 97 yards. No timeouts, under 2 minutes to play. So McWonder still got some growing to do. I mean, all he had to do was just finish him with a run, but no, fundamentally unsound. Fuss, not fun, fuss, fundamentally unsound. So Minnesota's got 1:50 to try to drive 97 yards to score 8 points. Now, the odds are very stacked against them. Highly unlikely that they're going to be able to pull this off, but they shouldn't have even had the opportunity. They should have gotten the ball back with 20 seconds or so left in the game. Thanks, McG. And so, you all know what happened from there. They're in their own end zone trying to make a play, and well, Byron Young comes through, sack, safety, but the replay shows that was a face mask. And even Byron Young grabs his head like, oh, damn, I face masked him. And the refs just missed it. They just blew it, and the replays were clear. Everybody pretty much saw it. And they said, well, it's not reviewable, and it's just the Rams get 2 points and the ball game over. Thank you. Now, listen, as I said in the last Rams loss, don't blame the refs for this loss. Minnesota, don't blame them. You got outplayed. You got whooped. You deserve to lose. It shouldn't have even come down to it, but, we have already outlined what led up to this scenario. And true enough, that's got to be reviewable. That's got to be something that can't be allowed to happen. That you in the game give the team 2 points on a blown face mask and then give them the ball on top of it all. That's no good. But this does not take away from the Rams' victory. They beat Minnesota on both sides of the ball all night long, and they deserve to win. Let's look at the particulars. And just quickly as an aside before we do, did you get a load of Justin Jefferson's bling, his drip? Man, I've got a 4K big screen TV, and when I saw it, I thought, what is my TV doing? Why is my TV twinkling like this? I mean, I almost had to cover my eyes. It looked like that ice he had on his neck looked like he needed to plug that in to get it charged up to blink and twinkle like that. I heard it was quite an expensive piece of jewelry. So I heard. Just a Jefferson blinging. Let's go to the numbers, my folks. Let's go to the numbers. Now, well, the Rams, as I say, they outplayed the Vikes. More total yards, more passing yards, more rushing yards, higher yards per play average. They had more first downs. They were better on fourth down. They were better on third down. They had more total plays. They allowed no sacks, thanks to Dr. Houdini and his little dippity-doo move. And they were less penalized. They did have one poltergeist night, as we documented earlier. But they dominated time of possession as well. The Rams simply outplayed Minnesota. That's all there is to it. Now, let's apply the principle, because as you know now, I have been touting my 25-30 principle. Let's look at it. Well, let's start with the victors, of course. The Rams. Matthew Stafford. 25 of 34. Oh, strike. They were outside of the metric. 34 passes, no sacks. So that's 34 dropbacks. Outside the metric. What about runs? Oh, 29 run plays, 29 runs, 23 for K. Will, 4 for Deuces, Blake Corum, and Puka had a couple. So 29 runs, 34 passes. That's not too far off balance, even though it does not meet both metrics. It still shows a good amount of balance in the play calling. Let's look at the losers now. Minnesota. Sam Darnold. Fight on. 18 of 25 for 240, 2 touchdowns, no picks. They were sacked 3 times, 25 attempts, 3 sacks. That's 28 total pass attempts. That is a check. Check. They kept it under 30. You know the metric stipulates you must cap your pass attempts to 30. They had 28, so they met that metric. What about runs? Well, 19 carries for the running back and 3 Sam Darnold. And, you know, I don't know that you can even count those quarterback runs as run plays. Usually those are scrambles to get out of trouble because they're fearing that pass rush. So even if you count those as design runs, that's only 22 short. But you can't even do that. They didn't even have 20 run plays. And so you see O'Connell off the McWonder tree. 19 runs designed, 28 passes. He fails to meet the metric. Now, what have we learned about the 25-30 principle? In some instances, both head coaches will meet both metrics. Each will meet both metrics. And in some instances, neither head coach will meet both metrics. And that's what we found here in the Minnesota game. Neither McWonder nor McConnell met both metrics for the 25-30 principle. And as I've explained to you on numerous occasions, when both metrics are not met, or when both head coaches meet both metrics, you have to go to the tie-breaking system, which is who is closer to balance. Well, 20 28 pass plays, 19 runs. What about the Rams? 34 passes, 29 runs. That's a -5 differential. The Rams win the tiebreaker in that neither team met both metrics. The Rams were closer to balance, and the Rams win. And once again, the 25-30 principle holds true. Yet again, my folks. Yet again. And so game balls to the Rams. Game ball. Matthew Stafford, Dr. Houdini, Matty from the D. Just an outstanding game overall, despite the one poltergeist strike. 25 of 34, 279 yards, and 4 touchdown passes. Game ball, sir. Game ball. Kyren Williams, 23 carries, 97 yards. That's a 4.2 yard per carry average. Plus, K-Will had 5 receptions for 19 more yards and a receiving touchdown. So 116 total yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. 10 consecutive games, K-Will has reached pay dirt for the Rams. And so game ball, Kyren Williams, game ball, sir. And my final game ball. Welcome back, Puka Nakua. Welcome back, Puka. 7 receptions. Cracked the 100-yard receiving plateau. 106 yards on the day. He was, of course, your leading receiver. 15.1 yards per carry average. Plus, Puka also had 2 carries on the ground. He blocks. He does it all, and he brings that infectious, youthful, exuberant energy. Game ball, Puka, welcome back, sir. And those are your game balls. And, of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention that with this victory, Coach McGenius now sits alone as the winningest coach in Rams franchise history. Congratulations, Coach McG. And just to also put a bow on Doctor Who, Matty actually passed Dan Marino in this game and now sits 9th on the all-time completions list. Tip my cap, Doc. Nice job, Matt Stafford. And so in the postgame, I saw where the victorious Coach McGenius, said regarding Super Cooper Cup, he said yes, that teams had reached out to the Rams to inquire about acquiring Soup, and that there were behind-the-scenes negotiations and so forth and so on. But he said that any suggestion that the Rams were actively shopping him, were not true. And he said that as far as he's concerned, he expects Soup will be there for the remainder of the season. And I'd like to see it. At this point, the Rams are not sellers, my folks. They are in this thing by virtue of the fact that the NFC West is down this year. McGenius in the post game also said, as he referred to Jared Verse V8, he said, I like what he's doing. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and he's playing disciplined football. And Coach McWonder, if I might be so bold as to suggest, you could have very well applied that same quote to yourself. You now are starting to do what you're supposed to do. You are starting to play disciplined football, and I like it. I like it a lot. Keep it up, Big G. Now, very quickly, let's take a look around the NFL. Well, in my first episode of the new NFL season, the preview and predictions episode, I almost identically called these scenarios. I said that in the NFC South that it would be the Falcons this year, and that the Bucks would be right there, and that the Saints and the Panthers would be at the bottom. Well, the Saints jumped out 2-0, and everybody said, "Oh, look at the Saints!" But the Saints have now lost 6 in a row, and so they're 2-6 at the bottom, just above the Panthers at 1-7. So that's exactly as I expected it would be. In the NFC North, in the episode of predictions to start this season, I told you that I thought the Lions would be the class of the division, but I told you I expected the Packers to also make the playoffs, and they're in second place as it stands. And I said that I wouldn't be surprised at all if Chicago gets that other wild card spot. I thought the Vikes would come in fourth. Well, as it stands right now, Chicago's 4-3 and the Vikes are 5-2. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But the Vikes have now lost 2 in a row. And so that could very well be exactly how it plays out in the end. In the NFC East, I told you, I thought it would be the Eagles and the Commanders. Do you remember this? And I told you, them damn Cowboys were not going to make the playoffs. I told you this. Now, well, look at what we have now in the NFC East. Washington, 6-2. The Eagles, 5-2. And so that is where it's going to play out. And then them damn Cowboys now 3-4 and sinking fast like a stone in the lake. And New York Giants, I told you they'd be at the bottom. Just as I predicted in the NFC West. I told you the Rams would win the division and that the Niners would come in second because they were going to fall off. The Niners have fallen off. As it stands right now, though, the Rams are at the bottom of the division, and they deserve to be there the way the season started. But they're 3-4. And the other 3 teams in the division are all 4-4. And so now with 2 wins in 5 days, the Rams are right back in the mix. And they play next Seattle. And so if they beat Seattle on Sunday, and they are 1-point favorites in Seattle, then they would move to 4-4. That would drop Seattle to 4-5. Them damn Niners are at their bye, so they would still be 4-4, and the Rams have already beat them, so they would leapfrog them. And we'll see what the Cardinals do. I believe they play the Bears next. I'm not sure, but the Rams are right there. They're right there. Just continue on this path of balance. Follow the 25-30 principle, Coach McGenius. I'm going to be here to prod you along. I'm going to be here to continue to give you the encouragement, the exhortation that you need. And so, quickly, let's look at the AFC. See the error of my ways. It's still Buffalo's division, and it is Buffalo 6-2, Dolphins 2-5. And what did I tell you about COVID toe and the Jets? I told you they were going to be awful. I told you I didn't think COVID toe would play the whole season, and I told you the Jets would not make the play. And all these experts telling you that the Jets are going to the Super Bowl and the Jets are going to win the division, I was like, are you insane? The Jets are 2-6 at the bottom, tied with the Patriots, who are measly, and they just beat them. Just as I told you. In the AFC West, I told you. KC, the fat man, my homie, and they're 7-0, the only undefeated team in the league. And they're not even playing well, and undefeated at 7-0. I also told you I thought the Chargers could get that second spot in the West, and they still may. Right now, the Broncos are playing better than I anticipated. I thought they and the Raiders would be battling for the bottom, but the Raiders are at the bottom all alone. I think the Chargers can still overtake the Broncos. And then, in the AFC North, well, I picked the Ravens to win the division. I told you the Bengals would fall off. The Bengals would barely be a wild card team if they made the playoffs. Well, the Ravens actually, at this recording, are behind the Steelers. The surprising and yet not surprising Steelers, who just keep winning under Mike Tomlin with the reverse halo effect. And the Browns at the bottom. But they just got to win once Deshaun went out for the year. And then in the AFC South, I told you it would be the Houston Texans, and it is. And I told you that the Colts would probably get a wild card. Well, I don't know if I can actually stand by that now. That wild card is probably going to come from somewhere else, but the Colts are in second place, as I predicted they would be. And I told you, I don't believe in Jacksonville, nor their quarterback, not one little bit. They are 2-6, and just above the trifling Titans. That's what they need to be renamed to, the Tennessee Triflins. At 1-6, firmly entrenched at the bottom. And so next up for the Rams, my folks, next up for the Rams, the Seahawks, up there in Seattle, the 12s, I think we can get them. And then the Dolphins, okay, we'll see. And then the measly Patriots, okay, and then the Eagles, you never know, followed by the Saints, who are bottoming out. And so the next 5 or 6, I think the Rams, if they play the way they're playing, they can make make a run. And, well, you know the experts, why they're all back out on the bandwagon. Oh, the ferret was absolutely crowing. You ever see a ferret crow? Oh, just crowing. Oh, McGenius is an elite genius, you see. All of the credit, none of the blame. But it's okay. And they come up out of this mini bye after the victory over Minnesota feeling pretty good. No offensive injuries of note to report. Maybe even a reinforcement or two coming back. And so, I will be here on the other side of the Seattle Rams game to chop it up. And until then, what I'm going to ask now from you, what I need for you to do is throw me one of these. And yes, it has been yet another epic episode. We had 2 games to cover, my folks, and I played through injury. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, but please like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And until the next time, which won't be too long from this time, Scotty says, one love. And make sure you vote